First of all, Coach, I want to talk about Abu Torre. It's going to take for a minute to set this up, so you can probably eat a piece of pizza through all of this. He had 29 carries for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns. Those were career highs. His 234 yards ranked as the third best rushing performance in UT Martin history, trailing only Don Chapman, who had 272 at Southeast Missouri in 2004, before you were here, Coach. And then Bobby Fowler had 253 yards against West Georgia in a game neither one of us remember because that was in 1958. His previous career high in yardage was 128 against Tennessee Tech in 2014 on October the 9th. He was the first Skyhawk to gain at least 200 yards in a game since Brandon Young had 213, and that's going back to 2008 against Eastern Illinois. How did he rack up all those yards? He had 4 rushes of at least 20 yards, including a long of 40 in the third quarter, gaining 99 yards in the third alone and scoring a touchdown in the first, third, and fourth quarters. Overall, he averaged 8.1 yards per carry and only had 1 rush for negative yardage. Talk about that performance for Abu.
Yeah, I'm very proud of Abu. First of all, to be OVC Player of the Week, he helped us win the game, and and it's a really neat story. There was a couple NFL scouts in today, and they were asking, what's the difference between Abu the last couple of weeks compared to early part of the season? Mm-hmm. And I think it's a combination of things. One, we were continuing to coach Abu hard because we thought there were some runs early in the year to where he was trying to score at the line of scrimmage. And what I mean by that is that sometimes when you come through that line of scrimmage, it's muddy. It's a muddy run. Mm-hmm. You can't really think big run, 20-yard run until you get to the second level, and then sometimes to the third level, then you got to beat the safety. And so what was happening, there's a little bit of hesitation. There was a little bit of overanalyzing the run, looking for the big run instead of the 4-yard run. Enough of those 4-yard runs sometimes equal into those 20 yards and those bigger runs. And so there was times to where we were giving other backs opportunities because we know what we were going to get out of Trent Garland. We knew what we were going to get out of Ruben Ducksworth, and so you're looking for that combination to be consistent in the run game, because there was times we look at the plays on Sunday and see things blocked correctly and be frustrated because we were not where we were supposed to be.
Right.
So some of it was his own doing. Mm-hmm. Now, as I look back, I've got to analyze myself, and every decision I make should I have kept feeding the ball to him and getting him more carries, because the ability was there, but you're talking about over 6 games,
right?
That it was not. It wasn't clicking.
And he was coughing up the football occasionally.
Well, yes. And so, that's hard to put. Not only are you missing some runs, and then you cough the football up, next guy up. And so we started taking care. Now, he did fumble last week against Austin Peay, and we luckily recovered it back. So I think, he got lucky, to be honest with you, that he got to go back in there, because it's an honor to carry that football, and you've got to take care of it. It's got to be precious to you. So those things, he took the coaching, he took the criticism, he tried to get better, he started turning his body loose, and then the offensive line just did an outstanding job, and there was big holes, and some of them you and I could have ran through, maybe not 20-yard gains, but there just was. And we really did a nice job up front. Corey Rogers, we've got better in our run game. Corey Rogers coming back off the knee injury, and you're talking about a 6'3.5", 310-pound tight end that kind of gets those runs started for us. And he's not perfect, still got a lot of technique work to do, but he's so big, and he really eats some space. And then you got Charles Sweden at the left tackle, who's just playing this really well, and Sam Curtis and Jordan Murphy, those guys are getting better. And, Axline at the left guard and Tops at the center. So it's a combination of things, better block run plays, and a great individual effort by Abu.
And you can tell with the blocking that Garland had good numbers, Duckworth did, and LeDevin did, Najee did. And they just got in there. Just watching it, you made a great point in that I just kind of thought maybe Abu was more patient, but he's really he sees the field better, or he's being a better decision maker.
I think, like I said, it's a little of both. Is that he's every run has a landmark. Every run has, if it's power, inside leg of the guard. Mm-hmm. Read the double team. The guard's pulling around, stay inside the guard. So you've got base rules, and then sometimes just your natural ability and your vision has to take over.
Right.
So, so you've got to run and see those things, and sometimes he was seeing things that maybe not wasn't necessarily there. But on the outside zone this week, he really did a nice job of staying on his track, and that rule, that coaching points for that player for us is stay on your track, right? You get one cut, and this bleeds down to the NFL, to college range. You get one cut, and that's it. Then after you take that one cut, then you're on your own.
Right.
But you can't take 2 cuts and 3 cuts. You get one cut. And he was doing that, and he was running through linebacker arm tackles, and then safeties missed him a couple times, and big runs occurred.
Because when we see the 3 cuts, it's like schoolyard football.
It's too late then. Yeah, it's too late then. That's just, those are very few and far between.
But it's phenomenal to me. You've been on the field. We'll talk about your college career later, but how difficult it must be from that perspective. From a fan's perspective, you're looking at it all differently, and you can see the entire field. But when you got the football in your hand, you're right. You are limited in your vision, and that decision, you have to be informed about what you're going to do, but react at the same time without overthinking it.
Right.
It's a lot more complicated than what it appears to be.
And you say, well, he's got to be a natural runner and things like that. Yeah, all those things are true, but those great backs, they study tape. They watch their opponent, and they see the 3 technique or the low shade or the structure of the linebackers. And if you're looking at the right things and looking at it from a coach's perspective, you can different things can happen with the ball snap, but you've already got a pre-snap read.
Right.
And, those are things that I've seen Abu and all of our backs improve on over the last few weeks.
Well, it was quite an effort, a remarkable effort by the Skyhawks offensive line in the near historical performance by Abu Toure, 402 team rushing yards at Murray. And you've shown us, and that's the most rushing yards you've had since 07. So it was a span of 79 games since you've gotten as many. But where at first we thought when you came in here you'd be a pass-first coach. I mean, you're going to do whatever it takes to win.
Well, that's kind of what we hang our hat on, and I think that makes us a little bit more difficult to defend.
Sure.
I mean, I really believe in that, and whether it's Derek Carr's senior year, and we're trying to throw for 300+ yards a game, and 06, we probably threw, you and I laugh about the 110 yards a game, but we had Donald Chapman and a tremendous defense. And so, we'd like to be balanced, but we also sometimes balance occurs week to week. I mean, it does. I mean, there's some weeks where you say, we're going to have to throw it more this week because either the team's great in the run game or stopping the run, or they're deficient in the throw game. So this gives us our best chance to move the football. And I take a lot of pride in that.
I don't think all coaches are as flexible as you are, though, and I think that's a compliment to you.
Well, there's just different philosophies. And Chris Hatcher does a great job at Murray offensively. I mean, you look at their numbers, and they were going to throw the ball, no matter what. They were, and they were going to run it just to keep it honest enough, and a couple of runs would have come out of there. Then they probably would have stayed with it. But once we held them to 50-something yards rushing, and once we did that, then it was all going to be throw. Even though we still didn't play great in the pass game, but still, it's still high risk. They throw the 2 picks, and we score and things like that. So I mean, there's different ways to do it.
But don't you agree that predictability is easier to prepare for?
Well, I would think so.
Yeah.
That's what we think so anyway. I mean, and that's one of the things that you hear people, our upcoming opponents, say about us at UT Martin, especially offensively, is that very multiple, a lot of personnel, a lot of formations. And so our philosophy is make you prepare for a lot. You don't exactly know what we're going to do to attack you. Sometimes we don't know. And what I mean by that is that, there's sometimes that you go into a game and you think that you're going to have to throw the ball, and then all of a sudden some of those runs hit, and you start staying with it, and the kids start believing a little bit more, and then you end up adjusting your game plan during the game based on, because I knew we could run the football, but I didn't think we were going to run the ball 60 times this past week.
Right.
And so,
but why do you go away from it if it's working?
Well, exactly. And you look at it on tape, and I'm sure the receivers were looking at me today when they were watching the tape saying, once again, Coach, I'm open. And they're right. And so, but you know what? Like I said, we did what we had to do to win the game, and that's what it's about.
One other note, you controlled the possession time at 37-14 to their 22-46. And one of the things that I thought was interesting that you said is, look, Chris, they're going to get yards. I mean, that's going to happen. We just got to keep them out of the end zone. And for the most part, you did.
Well, like I said, we wouldn't, look at those 2 big plays. If you hold them under 25 points, it's a really good day. And like I said, I think that Austin Peay game for Murray State was just wouldn't happen again. To be honest with you, to hold them to 13 points. Well, they had the 5 turnovers,
right?
And they had 2 this week, and they were still able to get to 38 points. So, good team win.
Okay, we'll come back. We'll talk about the other events that happened in the Ohio Valley Conference with Coach Jason Simpson on the UT Martin Skyhawk Sports Network.